Welcome to another episode of my podcast, Stitches Unraveled. My name is Michelle, and today I thought it was a good time to, have another episode of this podcast. This is the second one. The first one went out maybe almost 3-4 weeks ago. So I feel like it was so much fun to make this little wrap up videos or audio content, I guess, because I think it forces me to sit down and look at the things that I'm doing and also reflect on things. So I love this concept, and I keep watching other people talking about their projects as well. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you've seen the first episode, welcome back. As always, I want you to grab something nice and warm and cozy to drink, and also maybe a project to work on if you will, or if you want to. And I think we'll start with chapter 1 straight away and talk about my current projects. Okay, so my current projects. Let me have a little sip of my coffee here. Okay, so last week I showed you my current projects that I was working on. Basically, I don't think I did. I have anything finished? I don't remember now. But I was working on the Eva cardigan or Eve cardigan by Petite Knit, and I've done a lot of progress and process. Progress is probably the word I am looking for, and I've done a lot. It's just that I'm not finished yet. I was hoping to finish, and I'm close to finish, but I'm also taking my time. I'm telling you, this is my first ever time knitting a jumper or a cardigan. I have not knitted any kind of wearable in my life. So this is like this is a whole learning curve, and I'm learning so much. I did not know what a magic loop was before I started this. I knew what it was, when you're crocheting, but I didn't know what it was when knitting. Okay, and I thought I was doing it, and I was like, this is complicated. This is not fun. But what I was doing was that I was trying to do, or I was thinking that I was doing the magic loop, but I was using circular needles with the wrong length on the cable. So of course that would have been like uneven and like just uncomfortable. So I'm so happy that a friend, another knitter and crocheter out there, Frida, if you're watching, thank you so much. She actually told me, hey, have you tried a magic loop? And I was like, duh, I've tried it. And then she showed me a video, and I'm like, what's the difference? What am I doing? And so that was really cool to see and understand and clear that up. But as you can see, I don't know if you, there you go. So I've finished one arm and I've finished the body, and I just need to do the other arm and then basically the button band. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm a bit worried about the bottom the button band, because obviously never done that before, and I've heard even the experienced knitters who starts with jumpers and such, they say that the button band can be difficult. I know that there are different kinds of button bands. I don't know which one I'm gonna do here in the Eva cardigan pattern, but I have heard that people prefer the double band, some double button band kind of thing, and also that many people prefer to add the button band at least in the end and not doing it while you making the cardigan, because I've seen other people making a pattern where they make the button band as they work back and forth. And people usually say that they don't like that. They like to have some control over that button band and maybe even have a chance to redo it. So if needed to, and then they don't want to have to basically rip up or like cut in the fabric that they have made. So all good lessons and all good things that I've heard. Another thing that I wanted to say before I drop this to the side or put this to the side is that, wow, you can really see where I started. Well, sort of, but I feel like if I look close, I dropped the yarn here. It's not a good thing. I'm a little bit scared still. So here, obviously, I'm using now the circular needles with the good obviously size on the cable, which has worked perfectly. They are a little bit, they can be a little bit fiddly, but it's like really good. I'm very comfortable. I used the magic loop technique on the other arm, but I wanted to try my new needles because I did also And maybe I should talk about that in this video, but I did order myself the short needles by Knit Pro with this package. I don't know the exact or full name, but they come in this really cute jeans denim bag, and they are very small, and it can be a little bit like uncomfortable maybe at some point, but I do like I really felt like it went fast, so I'm using it. I am, especially also because they are new, but like as you can see, they are so small. I don't know if that's better. They're so small, but like they do the job. Now I was going to say is like you can really see how like almost like they are not the neatest stitches on the bottom there on the bottom rib, but if you look at this then on the one handle here, or like cuff is what it's called, like all of a sudden it's so much neater. And I don't know if it's like me understanding um, what kind of needles I should be using, or if I'm having my tension being better now. But I mean, there are like some love marks on this one for sure, meaning like mistakes that I've made. You can see a little bit unevenness. They're like some small, like there's a line here if you look closely. But I mean, like I'm loving this one. I'm gonna wear it so much if it fits. It's a little bit like maybe this much shorter on the arms, but I've seen people block their stuff, and that usually does the trick with those small things. So I'm just hoping that everything will turn out, nice and proper. Some people even, I'm gonna carry up that yarn. Some people even say that their stitches looks much, defined and neater and nicer and like more put together once they blocked it. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But as you can see, I've done a lot. I was hoping to have had it done this week or until to this episode, but I also realized that there's no point for me to just to force it and stress about it, because I'm learning so much, increases, decreases. I'm learning the doing the rib. I did the Italian bind off, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't want to back take this one, but I like the other side. Like I think I did it from the right side and then worked, but I think I would have preferred that to be on the outside. So that is the inside, and then that is the outside. As you can see, there's almost like a little line there. I would have had preferred to have it on the inside. So maybe I'll learn that till I'm to the next wearable I'm making, or whenever I need to use that. But such a cool thing to learn. A little bit complicated in the beginning, but I felt like I sort of got a hand of it. And I think I did a mistake somewhere, but I'm hoping it's not a big mistake that will unravel my work. But yeah, so learning so much in this like project. So I'm like leaving it and having it as it is. Like no, trying not to stress about it. Last week, I also talked about, I think I had started the Togepi Pokemon crochet amigurumi plushie, if you will. And it's finished, and I will cut in, like, throw in some footages here for you, because my daughter have been playing with it, and I don't really know where it is, and I'm not going to go and look and try to find it. But she's really happy with it, made a few mistakes, etc., or like winged it a lot. And I have a full video of that as well if you want to look at that. But happy to have it done. I wish I didn't have to do any more Pokemon or crochet Pokemon, because there's so many other things that I want to spend my time doing. But I have two girls who are like, one is 6 and the other one is 4. And so if you make one for the other, then the other one feel a little bit like left out if you don't do something for that for her. And I do have also a 1-year-old, but she's not like up on the same level as they are. She doesn't really care. But so I promised to make one more Pokemon, one last, and it's gonna be a Pokemon called Lilligant, I think. I'm not a big Pokemon person, but yeah, I've started here, and as you can see, it's a little bit different and like more complicated construction. This one like turns and such. It's a little bit more complicated amigurumi Pokemon amigurumi, but I'm looking also forward to making it, but also to finish it, because like I said, I want to continue doing other things. Um, I talked about it that I wanted to do a red beret or a beret, and I've done it. And I've also had a video up now about that and the process of doing that. I felt like it went a little, or became a little bit too small. I'll have some footages of that as well, but I felt like it was a little bit tight on me. So I'm not so sure if I want to keep it or if I'm going to give it away or what I'm going to do with it. Another thing that I talked about that I wanted to do was the Sophie scarf. So I started the Sophie scarf, and I have it here. in this little, oh, sorry for making sound. Now, I didn't have a 3.5 needles, which I think is what the pattern is requiring. I had a 3, and this is actually a lot softer than I thought. I thought it was a little bit stiff, but I was like a little bit put off about like that it wasn't so soft, like it wasn't so flowy, but maybe it is. So I'm going to continue doing that one as well, but I've been putting it on hold a little bit because I've been like enjoying knitting and starting new projects so much that I actually also wanted to use the circular needles and the small knitting needles that I bought. So I actually started doing this sock, and I can't believe that I made this because obviously, like I consider myself a very new knitter. But I felt like it was so much fun to just keep knitting. I felt like it was, small movements and etc. that made me very inspired to start something new. And here you go. Here you have it. I'm going to talk more about the difference between crocheting and knitting on our spotlight question of the day or of the episode. So I'm leaving that for now. So those are my, I guess, current projects at the moment, if I haven't forgotten anything. I do have, do I have anything else here? I'm gonna see. No, I think those are my like current projects. And like I said, not many finished projects. Like I had the beret and um, the Pokemon plushie for my daughter, but I do have like 1, 2, I guess 3, 4. So 4 whips this week, and I'm hoping to be done with, well, all of them when we see each other next time, and that will be so exciting. So let's jump to chapter 2 instead and talk about what I would want to do next. Just trying a little, I'm just jumping into my coffee a little bit here. Well, I'm guessing that I would be surprised if I had 2 socks next time we see each other in this episode or podcast concept format. But if I haven't done the second one, I hopefully want to do the second pair or the second of the pair in this of these socks. And then I also have a little a work project, I guess, where I need to do some clutch bags that I will also start focusing on. And I also want to I ordered actually, and I might have some footage here for you as well with that. And I ordered some yarn while I was ordering my needles because, why just order the needles? And so I feel like I tried to have a lot, like, enough yarn so I could do kind of something wearable. And so it's not going to be just like, oh, for some 4 colors and 4 bowls of this yarn, and not really sure what to do with that because it's not really the season here in Sweden right now. We're going into spring and summer, so I wouldn't feel like that I want to spend time, just making scarves and beanies and such. And I know you can make like nice summer tops, so I did buy the Drops Bell, I think is called, and probably will try to do some kind of summery item with those yarns. We'll see. But I also bought some baby merino wool, and also a mixed with cotton and merino wool, I think it was. So I'm excited to use that yarn, and I have actually been thinking to have that yarn for knitting, because apparently I'm a knitter right now as well. I'm not just a crochet designer and crocheter, I'm also a knitter at the moment. I'm really enjoying that journey and process. It goes a little slower, but it's so much fun. So I'm not I haven't decided on exactly what exactly I want to do. I'm scrolling and trying to find ideas a lot, but some kind of summer top is on my, like, in my mind. And also maybe I've been thinking about some kind of jumper or a cardigan, but I know that I want to do the jumper because it feels like that's going to be a little bit fast because you're going in the rounds, or mostly at least. But with a cardigan, it's like, you need to go back and forth, and every other row you have to purl. and that takes a little long time sometimes. But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what I want to do. I haven't decided yet. I know cardigans are they are so easy to just put on and off, especially like during summer or spring and autumn. So they are a bit more convenient. A jumper is like you have to put it over, you pull it over, pull it up, pull it off. But it can look really nice, even with a dress, like a nice dress, and you have like if it's a chilly evening and you just put on a jumper like that. I like that aesthetic, like that style. So maybe at least one jumper. We'll see. It would be nice to have a little break maybe from a cardigan and jump into a jumper where it's like a little bit easy to just work around. And I'm not so sure which pattern yet. So we'll see. I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to. And what else? Yes, I have a little sort of a bucket hat that I also want to have a chance to do. We'll see if I get to do that this week or this coming month, I guess. I don't have any other, I think, crochet plushie, but like I said, I had the crochet clutches that I need to do, and might also squeeze in some sewing projects because I do feel like I need some more work bags or working bags, like some zipping bags. So just like use some old fabrics, and so I can just have my work in a better way, because like just having them in different piles around the apartment is not going to be sustainable. So that is some of my thoughts for next things to do. So nothing specific, I'm afraid, but like a little bit. You have my thoughts all over the place here, but like at least you know sort of where I'm maybe at, where I'm going. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's time to jump to chapter 3 because I'm excited for this episode's spotlight question. Okay, today's spotlight question is all about what's the differences between knitting and crocheting. Because I started out as a crocheter, I've basically crocheted for as long as I can remember, in and out, and mostly like the last maybe 2 years, I've been more actively crocheting and creating my own patterns and all of that, and been enjoying that journey and still enjoying it. But I felt like I got bit by the knitting bug when I started out with Sophie Scarf this year. I did do some socks last year and they turned out a little bit wonky. And now all of a sudden it feels like something clicked. And I am so eager and excited to just knit and do more knitting projects. But there is a huge difference between knitting and crocheting in many ways. Like there are so many differences. However, I think that they are both respectful, crafty methods, if that one makes sense. I think that they are valid and they both have their own basically category almost. Like they both they both um, have their, like there is a technique and there's so much skill that goes into each technique. So I feel, for example, with crocheting, I feel like it's easy to just have one hook and one set of hooks. Like there's in knitting, when you come to knitting, it's so many different cables or knitting needles, or, and I'm sure you can go by with, a fixed set once you found out what that set is for you, because some people prefer the long needles, some people prefer the circling needles, some prefer the ones with the cables where you can switch out the needles, some people deserve like prefer the short needles and long needles, and I'm like these all kinds of different options are of course also available when it comes to crocheting and crocheting tools. But I don't know, I feel like crochet tools are a little bit easier to wrap your head around compared to knitting, because there are so many different things that can be um, that can make your knitting experience much easier. And I think it's more important to have the right tools when you're knitting, because the knitting takes a lot more time than crocheting. When you're crocheting, you can sort of like push through certain projects with, a half good needle. But when you're knitting, it feels like it's important to have the right tools, because otherwise the experience will be very hard. I didn't mention this before, but I was trying to make one of the arms with sock needles, like two double pointed sock needles, like 4 or 5, I guess you were using. And I know how to do that, but I'm not great at it. So when you're doing that, that creates a little bit undefined or like not the nicest stitches. So yeah, I obviously love that I learned the magic loop technique there, and I also love that I got to try the circle needles and using the right size on the cable, and have found my ways now to work with that, and that makes the whole experience so much more fun. As in crocheting, I feel like it's easier to get into, and you get instant gratification there as well when you finish things fast, etc. And I also do think that crocheting is a little bit, but just because I understand it better, I feel like you get a little bit like better shapes and etc. I think you need to think about it in a completely different way when you knit. It's more of like thinking flat, making it like thinking how to sew things together, I think, if you want to make a plushie and etc. So there's obviously differences, but I don't think that one is better than the other. It all depends on what kind of result you want, what kind of feel you're going for, what kind of vibe you're going for. I don't think that there is a negative difference between either technique. I think that they are both so fascinating and interesting. I must say, though, I know not everyone will agree, but I do prefer knitting my variables, and I haven't even done much. I'm doing my first cardigan here, but I love that when I'm knitting my cardigan, it's not so heavy. I think that the look of it is like a little bit nicer and neater. When I have crocheted a cardigan, it's much more heavier, it's much more holey, requires much more yarn. So when you're making a sweater, for example, it's already a big project, it's already a lot of yarn going into that. So when you choose to crochet the jumper instead of knitting the jumper, you're going to have more yarn when you're crocheting it, which I feel like I then would prefer to knit it because, well, it would save you a little bit of money if you do so. So I definitely see the like where I would want to like where in my world or in my life I would want to knit and where I would want to choose to crochet. For example, I would prefer 100% to crochet my handbags and my bags instead of knitting them, for the simple reason that I think knitting projects, they are too flowy and they are too like maybe soft. But again, much can be solved when you're using linings in your bags, etc., that will help to keep that structure. So it's all up to the individual. But I think I would prefer to crochet my bags, I think. Well, where you want more structure and sturdiness and maybe a harder fabric, I would like baskets, for example, I would probably crochet them rather than knit them. But when you want something more flowy and etc., I think I would prefer to crochet, and then I would prefer to knit them. Hats in between, right? If you want a more of a cap that is have a little bit more structure, or a beret, for example, that you want a more structure to, then maybe you would choose to crochet it. But if you want a more flowy beret or a flowy hat or beanie, for example, you would probably prefer to knit it. You can crochet a beanie, but from my experience, I think the look of it, it depends again what's your vibe, right? But I prefer myself to see the knitting beanies instead of the crocheted beanies, because I feel like when I have crocheted beanies, I feel like they get like really chunky and big, and I feel like when I see the knitted beanies, I feel like they are more like, they just sit better in my opinion. But again, like I am not the one and only with answers all over, like having the answers to everything here. So I'm just going with what I've gathered from my experience, and obviously I haven't uh, gathered so much from knitting yet. I'm still learning as I'm going here, and I'm on the journey, very in the very beginning of my knitting journey. So if you have anything to put into this question or conversation, please do. What do you think are the biggest differences between knitting and crocheting? And what do you think, how do you distinct them or differentiate them? And do you do both craft, or do you prefer one over the other? Like, keep it civil, but I would be happy to hear what you guys think. So with that said, let's jump to our last chapter, our final thoughts. So thank you so much for being here with me in this episode. As always, I want to know what you're working on. So let me know in the comments below. Let me know if there's any new chapters that you want to add to this podcast, or if there is a spotlight question that you might want me to bring up in this podcast in these episodes as well. And if you have any questions of what I'm doing, if I have not showed you what yarn I'm using, or if I haven't shown you which exact pattern I'm using, please let me know, and I will try to specify that and be better at it in the coming episodes as well. I want to also take this opportunity to just say a huge thank you to everyone who's also creating content out there, because it's helped me a lot, especially when learning to doing different steps on the cardigan that I'm working on. I would not be able to do everything that I'm doing without all of you guys who put out content out there free for anyone to basically use and learn from. Obviously, there are also some stuff out there that you have to pay for, which I paid for my cardigan, obviously, pattern. And I'm so grateful that people are making patterns. I myself make, obviously, crochet patterns, and it's so much work goes into learning and trying to teach and being very thorough in both text and video formats and etc. So thank you for putting out that time and energy to share your knowledge. So with that said, again, thank you. I don't know when the next episode will come out, but hopefully within a month or so. So thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.